Coming up on the program, we're going to take these ever-bearing strawberries and create a small bed for them in the ground. And we're going to use these to trim off our peas so the nitrogen stays in the soil. We'll explain all that and more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is sponsored in part by, for all your non-GMO, heirloom, organic, vegetable, flowers, and herb seeds, visit dollarseed.com. Sioux Growing Supply, located in Wausau, Wisconsin, focusing on certified leaf compost, an excellent amendment for poor soil, retains moisture and adds nutrients, which equals less watering. Available in Sioux organic seed starting kits, pre-filled trays and pots, bag and bulk. Visit SiouxCompost.com. Don't poison your soil with municipal water. Attach a body, mind, and soil hose and filter. Free shipping exclusively through the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Just click on the body, mind, and soil icon. Authentic Haven brand soil conditioner for the home gardener. Easy to brew, 100% organic. Visit ManureTea.com. Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. We are in the sister-in-law's backyard garden to create a small strawberry patch. Now the plans is we're going to work off the side of the garage here and come out about 6 to 7 foot, with this bed being about 4.5 foot wide. So that's going to give us about 30-ish, 25 to 30 square feet. I want to plant these strawberries about every foot on center. Now, these are ever-bearing strawberries. This variety is a, let's see here, it's a Quinault, Q-U-I-N-A-U-L-T variety. Now, these were given to us in a container. Now, most likely that this container, well, I don't know, but I'm thinking this maybe was purchased at a local garden center a couple of years ago and was just left in this container. So we're going to tip them out and see what we have. All right. So immediately I can tell that whenever it was put in the container, there is drainage holes, but they used like a gravel of sorts as a bottom to help draining. So, and let's see, this is going to break apart. Well, not too bad. And the roots have really become root bound in this container. So what we're going to do here is break these apart. Now these have berries on them. The difference between everbearing and strawberry is everbearing produces berries from early spring to late fall, when temperatures reach 25 degrees Celsius or 78 degrees Fahrenheit. June bearings, on the other hand, produce berries, like the name says, roughly in June and a little bit in July. These will put on berries or flowers every 4 to 6 weeks throughout the growing season, and it'll work. You get berries all the time, and a lot of the times your bigger crops are in the fall when that temperature kind of falls in that 78 degree Fahrenheit or 25 degree Celsius temperature frame. So what we're going to do here, it's been dry. So the first thing we got to do with any bed that you're going to start is we're going to remove the top layer of grass. So all we're going to do is come in here and take off about an inch here. Now, true enough, whenever this gets watered, there will be weeds that will come up because we're opening up the soil, potential weed seeds, to the atmosphere, moisture, and sunlight. But we'll deal with that when that occurs. So we're going to come in here and remove all of this grass and then lay out the bed in the appropriate, we'll break the strawberries apart, lay out the bed here and get them planted, and then we'll go on with the next step. So it's going to be a little work, but in the long run, it'll be well worth having an established strawberry bed in your backyard. All right, so we've established our bed here. We've removed the grass. It's about 8 foot, well, it's 8 foot long by about 4.5 foot wide, so that gives us 32 to 35 square feet. Now, planting strawberries, you can plant them in a variety of different methods. What we've chosen to do here is take, and we're come off the garage about a foot and about 10 inches apart is kind of where we're looking at. So in this bed, if we have enough strawberry plants, we can get 28 strawberry plants. Now, a couple of things you want to keep in mind here. This obviously, by me digging through this, this has been growing in this container for a very, very long time. For the reason's sake being, this is all joined together. Most likely there was one plant here, and then these have come off and grown together, and it's got a hard root there, and it's got a lot of fibrous roots. So you can take this and break this apart and have 3, 4 separate plants. The problem with that being is, if we go ahead and snip that, you're going to have very few roots on a couple of these plants. So the best scenario for our situation is to simply take all 4 of these plants and plant them together, and then they'll produce runners. And it's going to be a much higher chance that this plant will completely survive, all of these will, than if we go ahead and try to break these up. Another example here is I've got one plant that's got a bunch of daughter plants. We talked about this earlier. It's got three different daughter plants on 2 runners. So the way we're going to plant this one is take the mother plant, put the center there, put in the ground, take a daughter plant and put in one space where a normal plant would be, and then reach out these other 2 daughter plants and allow them to have soil. And once they start hitting soil, then they'll begin to put on roots. As we can see, there's some roots trying to establish there. And then at some point you can cut the vine here. So that's what we're going to do. Now, to separate these, most cases when you get strawberry plants in the spring, or in some cases you may be able to get them in the fall, mail order catalogs, you'll just get a bag of, you'll get a bag of roots. I found several of these roots in the container here so far. These are roots that have been choked out. These are dry. There's nothing left. But you normally get a bag of 25 of these from an online catalog, and then you plant them. Now, you can buy these from your local garden center in a container, a little cup or a little pot, and you can plant them that way. With a situation like this, we're just taking one. It's a dry potting soil, so you want to let this dry out to the point where it will shake off like it is here. And I'm just working it back and forth until I have, you can see how much is coming off there, until a chunk falls off. And that's going to be, and see right there, there's another. Well, let's see what we got here. You just got to be careful with these. See, I've got berries on there. I don't think that those are going to survive the transplant. Let's see here. We've got a mature. Okay, there we go. That is a root that has died back. That's no good. You break it and it's like a dry twig. It snaps. So that's no good. So by shaking the soil out of it, we've got nice long roots, and then we're going to space these accordingly. So I'm going to go ahead and shake the rest of those roots out, see what we have, and then we'll come back and begin to put these physically in the ground. All right, so we've got half the bed planted here. Soil is dry. We will water these in, but it's pretty easy, pretty simple to get these planted. I'm just using the big shovel to loosen the soil up. Now, when planting these, strawberries have what is called a crown. Now, anything that's droopy like that or is broke off, we're going to get rid of. Strawberries have what is called a crown. And that's the portion between the roots and the actual green foliage. Now, what we want to do is not plant deeper than that, because it suffocates the plant off and the plant will die. So we want to be planting it in the same depth as it did come in the container, and or you'll be able to see on a new plant or rootstock where there's a little gleam of greenness. You want to plant it right there so the green is above, and the roots are below. So the crown, there's the roots, there's the green portion, right there's the crown. So we want to plant it right above where the roots are coming out of the plant, out of the crown. So with these massive amount of roots that we have here, we're going to nestle it in. Going to nestle it in the ground. These are droopy because they are dry, and we will get them watered in. But we want to just plant them right at the so we're not suffocating the plant. So the crown is right at the crown there. All right, so I'm going to get the rest of these planted, and we have one more step before this bed is complete, and we'll get to that once I get the rest of these in the ground. All right, so we've got all the plants, all the strawberries in the ground here. In combination with the multi-roots and the runners, we got somewhere around 28, 30. We've put them there fairly evenly. They're very droopy because it's very warm, soil is very dry, and they've been exposed, the roots have been exposed to the oxygen or the air for a little bit of time now. Two more steps here. One, we're going to put a fertilizer spike. It's a 2-3-4 fertilizer spike designed to help berries, give them a little boost. Ever-bearing berries really require a little more assistance in fertilizer throughout the year. At the beginning and middle of the year, you can apply this. In addition, we'll water this in with moo poo tea. So this is what the spike looks like. You don't have to use a spike like this, but any type of granular fertilizer will work as well. So what we'll do is we'll just get in here. Now all I'm going to do is put preferably 2 of these beside each plant. I'm just going to dig a hole about 3-4 inches away from the roots and drop it in there, cover it up, and be done. So I'll do that for each plant, put 2, 1 on each side, and then we'll finish fencing this in to protect it from the animals, and we'll water these in real good. So it's pretty easy. I'd say it's some work to get a strawberry bed established, but once you get it established, it'll be here for years to come with the enjoyment of having strawberries right outside your back door. Growing in containers is a great way to expand your growing area, whether you have ground to grow in or not. It's time to plant our peas in a container. Now this is for fall. You can do this in spring as well. Peas do not need a lot of room. We're using a Root Trapper 2. You can use a 5-gallon bucket with drainage holes. You can use any type of container that has drainage holes. That's the key. Now you can put quite a few peas in a device like this. This is about 10 or 11, 12 inches, 10 to 12 inches across. We're going to put probably 10 peas in here. We have them pre-soaking in moo poo tea for a little over 12 hours to bulk them up. You can see how they have expanded, much like peas that you would get in a can at the grocery store to eat. So they've bulked up quite nicely, and this will increase germination by about 3 to 5 days. So it's very simple to do. Plant these here. You can make a trench, you can make a hole, you can just throw them in like I am here. Nothing specific. Just as long as you get them down about 1 inch. Anything that's popping up here, I'm going to go ahead and shove down a little bit farther. Put a couple there. So nothing too special when planting peas in a container like this or in the ground. Just about 1 inch deep. Make sure that they get watered, which we will. Now, peas are a climbing plant. They don't need nitrogen because they fix their own nitrogen. Peas are a climbing plant. So what you can do is just take an ordinary tomato cage, or if you have fencing of some sort, or you can set this next to a fence. I'm getting this broke off here. Okay. And you can just simply take your tomato cage and put it in the container just like that, and then the peas will grow up. The peas take about 70 days to reach maturity. They're a cool weather plant, so you can get them planted in the spring as well as in the fall, so you can have a harvest 2 times a year. So growing in containers is a great way to expand your growing area, whether you have ground to grow in or not. These are some kale seedlings we have started about a month ago. We started them on the porch because it's warm outside. Well, on some of the really hot days, we did take them indoors, even though the kale can withstand that heat. Just thought would be nice to the plants. Bringing them back out, we noticed we had a very high level of aphids on the plants. Now, aphids are very tiny little bugs. In this instance, they're white and yellow, and you can see them crawling around. Sometimes you have black aphids, and I believe there's a couple of other color variations of the aphid. Now what the aphid is doing, it's not eating the leaves, it's not chopping on the stalk or trying to cut the plant down. It's simply attaching itself to the leaves and sucking the juice out of the leaves, similar to what a tick may do to you if you get a tick on you. So we want to get rid of the aphids. Now there's a couple of different methods that you can go about doing this. One is you can go get a harsh chemical and spray on your plants, whether in a container or in the garden. This is not just a container issue. You can have aphids in an actual garden, raised bed, traditional ground garden, whatever the case may be. But keep in mind, with those harmful chemicals, that is going to kill everything in its path, good bugs and bad bugs. So one of the things you can do here is you can take a pump sprayer or one of these hand sprayers, fill it with water and a couple of drops of liquid dish detergent, and spray on the top of leaves, under the leaves, and anywhere where you see the bugs. This will help kill the aphids off. You can also simply just take and flap the leaves back and forth. Now that will only dislodge the loose ones. You're still going to have a lot of the bugs in there. Another method that can be tedious is just taking your hand and pushing and killing the bugs. You can also take a garden hose and blast them. By blasting them with that hose, you're going to dislodge a lot more. You may not get all of them in the first application, but a combination of all of these minus the harmful chemicals can greatly reduce the amount of aphids on your plants. Now, one of the insects that greatly likes to eat on aphids is the ladybug. So if you can introduce ladybugs into your garden, that is also a great defense on controlling the harmful bug that is the aphid. So this is our pea patch. Well, what once was our pea patch. We've got a lot of weeds in here, thistles, weeds, whatever you want to call them. They do have a lot of insects on it, black aphids, so that's one reason you might choose to leave some weeds in the garden. The bad bugs attach themselves to them, but that's not what this is about. What we're going to do here is we're going to take the shears here and we're going to trim the peas off at ground level. We're not going to pull them up. Peas, like clover, as well as beans, fix their own nitrogen. They have a symbolic relationship where it takes the plants take the nitrogen that is in the atmosphere, that 78% of the atmosphere is nitrogen, and they are able to convert it into a usable material. And then they put it in rhizomes in the roots. If you pull a root up, you'll see little bumps on those roots. Now there's nothing bad about that. That's where that nitrogen is at, and that's how the plant takes up the nitrogen it needs to grow. So by leaving the roots in the ground, taking off the top portion, there's still some nitrogen left in those rhizomes, or those little balls on the bottom or around the roots. So as that root decays over time, over the next 4 to 12 months, however long it takes, that will release little amounts of nitrogen in the soil. Now most of us who are gardening, at the end of the year, we'll just rip everything up, throw it in the compost pile or on the curb for waste pickup and be done with it. By doing this, cutting it flush with the ground, you're leaving that root zone in there and allowing that nitrogen to stay in the soil and allow it to rebalance the soil to what it needs to be. So that's what we're going to do, and we're just going to mow it all down, and then what we can do is come back in here and we could plant a leafy lettuce, a spinach. What we're going to do is we're just going to come back in here and plant beans on top, or plant peas on top of where the peas were, just because it's the end of the season and we want to get more peas, and this is kind of the option we have right now with everything kind of full in the garden. So all you do is just go ahead and mow it down. You can use some shears, clippers, but you want to leave that root in the ground so that nitrogen can stay in the soil. And this is also a great opportunity to come in and see if we have any pods that we have missed that have dried on the vine, and we can get some seeds to save off of it. Nothing there, but we'll find some on some of these, I know. So that's just one thing you might want to consider when harvesting or removing old plants. Thanks for watching. Join us again next time for more organic gardening and food preserving. I'm Joy Barrington. This has been the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
For more information, please visit thewwisconsinvegetablegardener.com.